Goodbye, stock blower.
Hey guys, what is up? Brendan here, aka Brenbo, bringing you guys another video, and this is a huge video for the channel because, as you can tell by the title, I have a new blower for the Terminator. It is a Stegi Stage 5 blower. It's ported, and I got it for a ridiculously great price. I'm putting the 2.76 inch pulley that's on the stock one I have now on the ported. It didn't come with a pulley. And if you guys don't know, Stegi is one of the best brands in porting superchargers. It's like the Snap-on of tools. It's one of the best. So when I saw this come up for such a great price, I knew I had to get it. And what's so cool about this is it came with a ported matched plenum and a Lightning Performance throttle body. So I got the throttle body and everything with the supercharger for a great price. I have the stock throttle body on it right now, obviously a stock plenum, so it's gonna make a big difference with the throttle body with the port, which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna make this a series build. It's not gonna take super long, but I wanna make a couple videos to go into building it. And then after it's all done, I'm gonna get it dyno tuned professionally, do it right, because right now I'm using like a Bama tuner, and people will say it's pretty scary to do. So I'm just gonna go full out, do dyno tune on it and everything. And just make this thing run perfect. But also I have to get a booster pump, injectors, and a bigger MAF to support it. I know it's not like a huge upgraded blower or anything, but I still need more fuel, the mass airflow sensor, and injectors just to support it and be fine and be totally safe. So I'm gonna obviously put all that in the build. And also I have other things coming for the car too, because V2 of this car, like I said, I want to be crazy. So I have lots of other things coming, and videos might come out between the build videos of the V2 of the Cobra. So stay tuned for that, because I have so much coming for this car. I expect everything to be done by spring, and then in spring I can obviously then take it to the shows and show it off. But the whole winter I'm gonna be building this car and making it just a beast. So to start, I'm going to first drain the coolant from the supercharger. There's two systems. Here's the supercharger's coolant reservoir, and here's the engine's. So you don't have to mess with the engines at all, just the supercharger's coolant. So how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna get the car jacked up, go under, and drain it from the heat exchanger, which is basically like the intercooler for a supercharger. I'm going to drain it. It's down there obviously to catch the air. Drain all the coolant out, so when I take out the blower, there's not coolant going everywhere, making a huge mess. After that, take off the intake, super easy. Even if you have a stock one, really easy, just the clamps. I'm gonna take off the throttle body, just 4 bolts each side. Then I'm gonna take off the throttle body position sensor. That you have to be careful of when taking out. I recommend you watch a video or know how to reset it before you take it out, because it's a big deal, it can mess up your whole throttle. And then I'm going to take off the plenum, same thing as throttle body, 4 bolts, and take off the cables that control the throttle body. And therefore, I'll have all this section cleared out. I'll also probably loosen the belt, take off that pulley so I can swap it to the ported blower. Before I take off the belt, I'm gonna loosen all these Allens on the pulley so it can put tension, so the pulley's not spinning when I'm loosening these Allens, because I have a feeling they're gonna be kind of tight. So I'm gonna loosen up all those Allens, then take off the belt. You don't have to take off this bolt because that holds on the hub, not the pulley itself. That's what these Allens are for. And I think that'll be good for the first video of this build series. So enough of me talking, I'm gonna get right to it. So I'm under the car right now. Right here is the heat exchanger, this black thing. It's basically an intercooler, but they call it a heat exchanger. It's a little rusty right here. I'll have to fix that, paint it. But at the very end, there's a hose right there. That's the hose I'm going to pull. That's basically like pulling the lower radiator hose, and that's gonna let most of the coolant out of the supercharger system, and then you can move on. So it is almost finished draining. It's been going for about 2 minutes now. Tip of advice, take off the cap on the reservoir and it'll flow a lot faster. So this is where I'm at. Like I said, took off the whole intake, throttle body and plenum I took off like together. I didn't unbolt the throttle body, so that is off now. I got this blocked off because that goes into the valve cover and I don't want anything getting in there, so I put some paper towel in there. I protected the fender a little bit because I don't want them scratches. But pulley is off, got the bolts off. The hub stays on because I have the other hub on my other supercharger. Belt obviously had to come off, so I just kind of have it laying here. Drained the coolant, as you guys saw. And then I also took off some hoses that I needed to get to the studs for the plenum. And I label everything. Even at my job when I work on cars, I label everything. So even if I don't label it, I mark it so I don't forget it. So this is a tube for the intake. I labeled it with tape because it looks like you could easily maybe forget about it because it's so small. But basically with the vacuum lines that go to the blower, I tape them and then write something on them. So this one, for instance, is the highest hose on the blower, so I just kind of named it upper hose, just so I know when I plug it in, and it makes it a lot faster and I know exactly where it goes. I still have to label this one, but I label everything. And then some of these are self-explanatory, but I still label them, put them in bags, just to be super organized. That's how I like to work. But basically, this will conclude the video because I did everything I said I would. In the next video, I'll take off the EGR, the rest of the vacuum lines, take off the fuel rail, the injectors, and get it ready to take off the bolts for the supercharger so I can take it out. But so far, super easy. The time lapse, I know, it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but this is really easy stuff, guys. The hardest part actually was probably the nut for the very bottom left plenum. You have to have kind of a stubby wrench because if you don't, it'll hit the cowl. And it's a little tricky, but if you have a stubby wrench, it should not be hard. So here is the plenum with the throttle body. As I said, I kept it connected. This is the sensor you have to be careful of, the TPMS. So when I take that off, I'm gonna be really careful about it. This one is just a direct bolt on, really easy. And this is the gasket. So it kind of broke. These gaskets do get fragile over time, even though the car has 20,000 miles. So what I might end up doing is putting this back on with some RTV, or 3M, the brand, makes a material that you kind of just trace and cut your own gaskets with, and it's the same gasket material. So I might end up doing that, even though this rip is not bad, and when it lays flat, it actually is very flush, but that's down the road when I get the blower off and everything. But yeah, just be careful when you take off this gasket. This is the one that connects the blower to the plenum. And I have a gasket for the new throttle body. It got sent with all of this. So that will do it for today's video. I kind of want to make these videos a little short just so they're not super boring because I'm just basically working on the car and I want to have like 3 of these videos, so I can't make them super long. There's not a tons of steps to this since it already has a blower and it's just basically a bolt on because it's basically a stock blower I'm putting back on. So there's not a lot to it, so I want to kind of extend it the most I can and not make these too boring for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're doing your blow yourself, I hope I'm explaining this well enough that you can do it. Not very hard at all. With the VMPs, the Whipples, there's more to it, obviously, because it's not the stock design. But it's still the same concept, basically. So if you guys like what I'm doing, putting the supercharger on, liking the series, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of the build and the other things I have coming for the car. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.